All right, here is the song. So let's listen to the song without the mastering effects that I've added here. Let's listen to the song. Let's just listen to the song.
Cause I get the vibe we go ginger you. Calling cities in a currency. I no get that to the jealousy. The kind money I dey find. The kind one we go turn dreams reality. Cause na money I dey find. Hustle every night and day just to live this life. Just to live the life. Nigga judge me lucky they wanna be like me. I try to tell them no, say them no fit fight me. Be too many faces, different faces. I dey see on a daily.
Okay, now you have an idea about the song. So that's the song we are going to master. So I'm not gonna waste your time. Let's go right into the process. The first thing I added here is a Pro Q tray. Pro Q tray, and you could see what I'm doing. Let me play it. Let me play it. Let me play it so that you see what's going on.
See, I no get that to the jealousy. The kind money I dey find. The kind one we go turn dreams reality. The kind one them go say na vanity. The kind one we go cool my sanity. Too many things where they bother my mind. Get one kill it for my snap with the stress where they bust my mind. They bust my mind. Me I focus on my grind every night. Cause na money I dey.
If you notice, I'm ducking out some frequencies here because I just on this master, I don't want the vocal to be too upfront. I want the song to be a little bit thick and a little bit fushy, and I don't want the vocal to be too bright, and I want it to sound a bit dark. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to control some of the high frequencies, the area where the vocals are sitting, and I'm ducking out some frequencies. If I solo it, see you will see. It depends. Sometimes you might want your vocals and everything to be bright on the master. It depends on what you think the song should sound like. But for here, this is what I want. So let's solo and listen.
Daily. But I do my best and keep God the glory. Many, many things behind the story. To me. Too many girls see me. Cause every time I'm on their TV. On their TV.
Mind you, on the mastering stage, you are doing something very subtle, nothing too crazy. If you are seeing on this EQ, is very small uh frequencies I'm talking, nothing too crazy. If you do anything too drastic, it might affect the music, the way it sounds. So this is what I did. What I'm doing here is to control and docking some kind of frequencies that I think is making the music sound too harsh and too, you know, bright, because I'm not going for something too bright. I want it to be a little bit more thick and, something a bit aggressive. So let's go for the next thing. So the next thing I had there is the God particle, and I don't use this stuff that much, but recently I find out that it has a lot of uh, character to a mix, and what I observe here, it's kind of brighten up the whole mix before the master. Remind you, I turn down the limiter. I did not add gain from here because by default when you put this plugin it will add gain to your overall sound. But if you observe, I turn down the gain. So let's listen how it sounds without the with the God particle, without having the 5 dB limiter gain that they normally add there. So let's listen.
Calling cities in a currency. I no get that to the jealousy. The kind money I dey find. The kind one we go. Cause na money I dey find. Hustle every night and day to live this life. Just to live the life.
You can notice when I bypass it, the song went back a bit darker, but with the God particle, the song sound brighter. So let's listen again.
Nigga judge me lucky they wanna be like me. I try to say them no fit fight me. Be too many faces, different faces. I just see on a daily. But the best I keep God the glory.
So you can tell the difference once I on it, it brighten up the whole mix. So, but mind you, I'm turning off the gain because I don't need the gain from me. I don't want it to be loud unnecessarily. All right. The next thing I add there is a de-esser. Most people might not understand, but I learned this from somebody. I think sometimes you have to de-ess when you're mastering. Sometimes some frequencies are there that are very harsh, even from the vocal and some of the sickles and everything. So what I'm doing here, I'm de-essing with the preset vocal de-essing in music. So I'm just taking up very minor frequencies. So listen to how it sounds with the de-esser on.
The story, but first make a lot of my police don't know me. But me no
You can hear some of the things that is going on there. It's grabbing some of the sharp frequencies, those things that can cause harm to the hearing. So it is taking off those, not too crazy. Let's hear it again.
but me no give them chance on your TV. Many guess the one that tried to abuse it, but
So that's it. So the next thing I had here is what we are going to use for the mastering, which is Ozone 9. All right, here is Ozone 9, and you all know Ozone 9 is like all in one package for mastering, and you know it's very very easy. So what I did here was I went to the mastering assistant. Coming, don't let me close it. Open it. All right, so I went to the mastering assistant and I have selected streaming as my reference, my destination, because we are going to put out this song on streaming platforms. So streaming, and then I put the intensity high, and then I put it on modern. The modern character, that means the Ozone 9 is going to use modern tools to master the mix for me instead of using vintage. So what I did was to click here, and then it listened to the song. When I click next there, I play the loudest part of the song, which is the chorus part, and it listened to the full song. Then it brought this idea of EQ, which I kept it the same way. I did not touch anything. I like the way it sounds, but sometimes if I don't like, I used to do some edits. Then the dynamics is normally off most of the time, but I changed it to analog dynamics so that it kind of gives some saturation to the mix. And then the dynamic EQ, this is another thing I did not touch, but if I play it now, there'll be a lot of changes. So let's listen.
but me no give them time for freezing. Every time me smoke me my cigarette, tell them say me the feel alright. Things where they bother my mind. Get one kill it for my snap with the stress where they bust my mind. Me I focus on my grind every night, cause now money I dey find. Hustle every night.
So you can see what these stuffs are doing. Take docking eyes, taking frequencies, just controlling the overall dynamics of the song. And then I added an exciter. This exciter I added by myself. I think what they add was the EQ and this dynamic and a little bit of maximizer. So I added this and I turned the exciter to gentle tip. I just need a little bit of that tip saturation, but not too much. So I added the gentle tip saturation, and it makes it sound a little bit more, thicker and a little bit more aggressive. Then I added uh stereo image, which is Okay, so I added a stereo image and what I added is subtle detail. So what it's doing here, it's kind of widening the high frequencies, the low, everything a little bit because what I want is for the song to be a little, thick and kind of aggressive. So if you listen,
Every night and day just to live this life. Hey, just to live the life. Hey, make them come
Time I'm on the TV.
on the TV.
Many guess the one that try to abuse it, but me no give them time for freezing. Every time me smoke me my cigarette, tell them say me the feel
Many things where they bother my mind. Get one kill it for my snap with they stress.
you can tell it's very, very easy and the song sounds very loud and clearer and warmer. So it's not really like crazy. Mastery is not like a crazy thing that you like do a lot of stuff. It's just simple. So what is adding the volume overall is the maximizer. So the maximizer is already set to classic and the ceiling is at -1 dB. So you can see the music will not peak more than this limit. So this is where it is kind of uh, compressing it or pushing it so it doesn't exceed this limit. Then the threshold, I brought it down to my desired loudness, where I think the loudness is good to me. This video is not supposed to take time. So I'm going to show you another thing that I use for a reference for my loudness. So after all this, I added my meter. So this meter is going to guide me if my music is sounding loud as most commercial music out there, or my music is sounding below commercial music volume. And I'm already hearing it. The most important thing is using my ear to hear what to listen and hear if it is sounding good as other music. I did not use a reference song for this mastering, but I actually listened to some other kind of music that sounds similar, but I did not go back and forth because I already kind of picture what I want, but I don't need to like really key into a particular music. But I've listened to some music that sound like this and I've add the atmosphere and how sound like. So it's already in my head. So I'm using that as a guide to listen to if it sounds similar to those songs that I've listened to. So let me play and we'll see where the meter is eating. Then I will explain further.
One kill it for my snap with they stress with the boss man, man. The boss man. Me I focus on my grind every night, cause no money I divine. Hustle every night and day just to live this life. Just to live the life. Bigger George, me lucky they wanna be like me. I try to tell them no, say them no fit fight me. Me do many favors.
All right, the mix is eating around -9 LUFS, and most of the commercial mixes that I've observed and based on references, they are eating around -9 LUFS. But that doesn't mean that your music could be loud as the same as most commercial mixes out there. So you have to mix it properly before you can even come to this whole stage. It's eating at -9 LUFS, and most of the commercial mixes are around -9 LUFS and -8 range. Yeah, that's what I always see anytime I play some of these popular songs around there. But some of the streaming platform require that your music should be at -13 LUFS, like Spotify, or 14 YouTube, and the rest. They have their own uh, reference, their own loudness level. But most of the songs commercially out there are at this -9 LUFS. It's like the standard loudness. And most of the time when you put it out on Spotify, YouTube, and the rest, they will compress it down to their desired loudness. And the most important thing is so make sure your song is sounding clean and loud and not distorting, not sounding crazy, so that when they process it, it won't become bad. But this mix, based on what I'm hearing, is nice, and what I've played on maybe one or two other places on my headphones, on my phone, and other speakers, and it sounds almost the same as it is. So I'm very pretty sure that this music is going to translate well on other places.